colocar pra gente.
Hello, I bring you greetings from the General Conference and our president, Pastor Ted Wilson. My name is Lary Evans, and I serve as the director for Adventist Possibility Ministries. Pastor Wilson and I extend a special greeting to Pastor Stanley, Bruno, and Barbosa, and of course to all the pastors and to others who may be attending this conference. What this division is doing with Possibility Ministries is just amazing. But compassion must be a characteristic of God's last day church. The emphasis you are giving to this ministry will send a much needed message to every local church and to every church member. You know, we live in a time when there is much misunderstanding and disagreement, and in fact, even anger. We see it on television, we hear it in political speeches, we even experience it while driving in heavy traffic. Anger often breeds impatience, and impatience breeds distrust in others. The trust level around us, everywhere, is diminishing. Many do not trust vaccines, the news media, or elected politicians. Unfortunately, sometimes we don't trust one another either. As leaders of the church, our misunderstanding of one another can create enormous confusion. And this comes at a time when leadership is needed most. When we fail to take the necessary steps, necessary time to listen, I mean, you know, the kind of listening needed for understanding one another, then we are bound to say things that will hurt and wound those we are called to serve. I mention this because stigmas or preconceived ideas not only hurt people, but they also minimize and limit their possibilities. I am so pleased that this conference will be addressing mental health issues that affect learning and communication abilities. I have seen the effects of stigmas. I had a father who had a serious mental illness and a grandson who is autistic. These are reasons why I added mental health awareness to the umbrella of ministries that we cover with Adventist Possibility Ministries. This ministry covers 7 different areas: the deaf, the blind, those with physical or mobility challenges, orphans and those who have lost their spouse, caregivers, and those with mental health illnesses and disorders, you know, like autism and Down syndrome, depression and schizophrenia. That's all part of our umbrella, not because we're experts, but because we want to be a support to the people who live with those people and to those people themselves. Many more disorders could be named. It is a big challenge and one that we must not minimize. If we are to be a compassionate church, we cannot ignore this. As a church, we generally recognize the need to provide unique support for those with physical challenges, such as those who are deaf or blind or who are wheelchair bound. However, we seldom mention the need for support for those with mental or emotional challenges. Too often, the stigma attached to mental and emotional distress only adds to a family suffering. Caregivers are left to struggle as their family members are misunderstood or simply rejected. I know how that feels. My father's mental illness grew worse and worse, and in time, our coping seemed to be more difficult. But we were by ourselves, and I don't want that to happen to you or to those who are in our churches. I've since learned that the most common type of disability in the United States, and I believe in the world, is mental illness. Some believe that mental illness is a spiritual problem. They believe that a prayer of faith is all that's needed to fix it. It is this attitude of just fixing the problem that has hurt many. I was told when I spoke in a government school in a different country that they nearly stopped me. They were going to stop me from coming. But somehow they let me come. I asked them, I said, why is it that you didn't want me to come, or you were afraid to have me come? I was told that a few days or maybe a week or two before I came, that the last church that was there came with the idea that anyone who had a disability had a demon. And if you believe that, then the cure for the disability is simply to cast out the demons. And so that's what they did. They went to the school and they saw the children with disabilities, and they began to try to cast the demons out of them. Well, you can imagine how the students felt about themselves when they were told that they were demon possessed. Their disability made them feel that they were demonic. But I, as a Seventh-day Adventist, went there with the belief that all are created in the image of God, even if they can't see or hear or walk or have a hard time learning or talking. You see, that's who we represent. And when the students heard that I believed that they were created in the image of God, there was silence in the classroom. There was an immediate sense of relief. You see, we must understand that we are whole people made of many moving parts. And while some parts are healthy, others aren't so healthy. And that's how we're all made and live in a world so dominated by sin and misunderstanding. We will be praying for this conference as Pastor Barbosa gives leadership and leads out. The truth is, we need one another. And that is the dominant theme of Possibility Ministries. We believe that if we want to change the world, we must begin by being intentional about including those who are hurting. So we are a ministry that reach out to those who are hurting. In the book Testimonies for the Church, Volume 3, page 511, we find this challenging statement. Angels of God are watching to see how we treat these people who need our sympathy, love, and disinterested benevolence. She had just listed a whole group of people who are often rejected because of their disabilities. And then she says this is God's test of our character, unquote. When we fulfill our call to be a compassionate ministry, we will see God's work begin to unfold all around us. I believe those great days are ahead. Thank you, and may God bless your conference.